Last week in Atoka, Oklahoma, the fire department had to rescue a country music legend who was trapped on the third floor because some stairs collapsed in a 100-year-old building. Anyone who had been on those steps would surely have died or at least been horribly maimed. At the top of those steps, having just narrowly escaped her demise, was one Reba MacEntire. Now, Miss MacEntire was only at that point 1 month removed from having beat COVID, the deadly disease raging through the world right now. If you go back to 1991, you will also find that a case of bronchitis prevented Miss MacEntire from getting on a private jet in which her entire band died. This young woman, beautiful, classic, wonderful country singer, continues to escape death. And you may say, well, the song most appropriate by her to capture this type of spirit that she has is I Am a Survivor. And that would be a good guess. But for me, I think what most captures the spirit of Reba MacEntire is the song she chose to cover because she loved it so much and had to fight not one but two producers to get on a record. And that song is Fancy, which came out only 1 month before that fateful plane crash. The song embodies her spirit and embodies the idea of getting through and making something good out of every situation. Today on Bubba Shot the Podcast, we are covering not one of the best story songs in country music or in 90s country, but one of the best story songs in the history of the world. Fancy is the type of song where your mama would sing it even though it was about a whore on her way to church, and your cool gay uncle would sing it and wink at you at all the cool parts. Fancy crosses all type of person. Black people love it. Gay people love it. Of course, Southerners love it. Christians love it. It is truly a magnificent song, and today we have truly a magnificent episode because we are drunk. Welcome to Bubba Shot the Podcast. Let's get fancy.
Bubba Shot the Podcast, and that's right, a show about country at its height. Don't expect no shit from 2005.
Well, here we are. Oh, wrong podcast. It was 1990. All right, anyway.
Do you have it in your mind? You got the...
No, I ain't wrote it yet. It'll be in there, though. You'll hear it.
All right.
But here's
we
what
will
I
have already heard it, I believe. Yeah.
Here's what I want you guys to know before we get started. Reba MacEntire wanted to record the song we are covering today, Fancy. It's a cover. It was written and recorded by Bobbie Gentry in 1969. In 1984, my birth year, good year, Reba wanted to record it, and her producer said no. He said, we're not far enough removed from that version. You're new. You can't be a cover artist. 6 years later, she's got a new producer. She's an international superstar or a burgeoning one, and she's got a little bit more power. So in 1990, she puts it down on wax. The song itself had already been in the top 30, and it was a pop crossover, one of those 1970 country pop crossovers. There were a few of those. Made it to the Billboard 100 with Bobbie Gentry. Reba's went to number 8 on the country charts, sold way more copies, obliterated that one, and I would say in the minds of many Americans, our generation, kind of replaced it.
What's the definitive version?
I did not know
I didn't know it was a cover.
100%, yes. I got to look up right now. You said it was number 8 on the country charts in 1990?
91. She recorded it in 90, and then it ends up coming out in 91.
I'm looking up right now what was above Fancy.
Yeah, I used to be one of those like hipsters that like
I need to know.
Whenever somebody would cover something and it would be, even if it was great, if I knew the original version, I would always go, well, like, no, it's not better because nothing can be better than the original. No matter how good it is, nothing can be better than the original. Right. And I've since, like, especially with songs like Fancy, I've since gone like, well, actually, that's not true. Like, to me, like, for instance, the song, what's the one by the band that they covered, Bruce Springsteen?
Atlantic City.
Atlantic City. Like, to me, I'm like, I love the Bruce version, but like the band,
way better.
Way better. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. And also, with keeping in line with Bruce Springsteen, like Revved Up Like a Deuce, like, you know, BTO did that better than him. And
I disagree with that one.
I thought that was Manfred Mann.
It was Manfred Mann. It was Manfred Mann. It was overly produced, but I still feel like that's kind of the definitive version. You know what I'm saying? Sinead O'Connor, nothing compares to you. All due respect to Prince, I fucking love Prince, but like you go, that's kind of her song now,
dude.
You know what I'm saying?
If I'm reading this right, and I'm not.
You gonna do the Billboard?
These are the peak. I can't find the one that's
it's hard to figure out
because it's
yearly.
You have to go.
No, it's just what they peaked at.
Yeah.
So Fancy only peaked at 8. I can't find what was ahead of Fancy, but like in the year 1991, Reba had 2 other songs at least that got to number 1, and Fancy only got to number 8.
That's crazy.
Falling Out of Love and For My Broken Heart, Forever Together by Randy Travis got to number 1.
I have some theories as to why. First of all, the radio wouldn't play it a lot because it's a woman and it's like a positive prostitution message, which we'll get into.
Yeah, right.
Secondly, the radio made them cut out, and this is wild to me, the last verse. And the argument was, I think, isn't this wild? We'll have you a song about prostitution, but you can't make it. But the last verse is inarguably
celebration.
A, the best verse, and B, the least like gnarly. You know what I mean? It's only positive.
Right. But that's
they wouldn't let her do it.
But like
on the radio.
So what you're saying, and like this is like I'm wrapping my head around this. They're going, we can have a song about prostitution
and selling your kid into prostitution,
right? But we can't have you be successful in that.
Exactly.
That has to be. Message. That has to. This song has to be a tragedy.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I can wrap my head around someone going like, look, man, we can't sit here and glorify prostitution. I can wrap my head around that, but like.
It is not a glorification song at all.
No, it's not. Dude, if you listen to the fucking lyrics, it's not a glorification of it.
Not a little bit.
It's also just such bullshit that, like, saying that, like, no one could have this experience whatsoever. No one could have ever got out of either of these situations.
Let's go over that as we go through the verses, as we always do. Real quick, wrapping up, and I know you've got big opinions, I'm sure, Trey.
Yes.
Too Short, you probably do too, about, just real quick with covers. I think Ben Harper's Strawberry Fields Forever is better than the Beatles. And, fuck, I lost the other one. Fancy's better.
One of the best covers. This is a little more obscure, but one of my favorite cover songs of all time is
Jeff Buckley's version.
Shit.
Jeff Buckley's version of Hallelujah is better than Leonard Cohen's.
Yes.
And I love Leonard Cohen. God rest his soul.
Oh, dude, Jeff Buckley's version of that
is
the definitive version. Johnny Cash is Hurt. That's a cliche.
Absolutely. But it's true.
This is a cliche too, but Ryan Adams.
Walk of Life. Shooter Jennings does a cover of Walk of Life by Dire Straits, and it fucking rules.
It's great.
I do like Dire Straits version.
There's also the Ataris, who are a one-hit wonder. They do a cover version of Girls of Summer
by Don Henley. It's better.
And it fucking slaps.
And for the record, I love the Don Henley version too. But the Don Henley version was like back in the 80s when like, and this happened to country music too, back in the 80s. I think everybody was just like super on coke from 79, and they were like, we have to overproduce every fucking song. Like every song, we have to strip it bare bones and then add horns and add synthesizers and all this shit. And it all has to sound the exact same way. And Don Henley's Girls of Summer sound that way. And then when the Ataris did it, they did it punk. And you actually, when the Ataris did it, you actually heard the lyrics for the first time.
Yes.
Because they actually did it punk, and it was great.
Pearl Jam,
We were out on the raid on my daddy's car.
Yeah.
We hadn't driven very far. I used to have a bit about that song. I'm not
straight ahead. What is the fucking name of that song?
Where?
Yeah, but that's not the name
when
of
I leave this world?
When
no.
Last Ride or something
Last
like
Kiss.
That?
Last Kiss.
Last Kiss.
Also, our boy Hayes Carl, I Don't Ever Want to Grow Up.
Yep.
That's a Ramones song.
That's right. And I didn't know that, too. When he did it, I genuinely thought that was
because it
fits
perfectly.
Yeah. Hayes let, I think it was Fred Eaglesmith, do Drunken Poet's Dream. Or was it?
No, Ray Wiley Hubbard.
No,
they wrote it together from what I hear.
Well, that's fine, but...
Because Ray Wiley Hubbard does a different verse on it than Hayes does.
Hayes recorded it first, so I've always considered Ray Wiley's a cover, and
sure.
I think it's better. And I think Hayes would say that, too. It did better.
Maybe. I mean, Hayes was the one that I
love Hayes' version.
I mean,
you heard Ray Wiley?
I heard that one the first time.
He's an older man.
Yeah.
He's got a rougher voice, and it just sounds dirtier.
I will say
dirtier old man doing it.
I will say this. When I heard Ray Wiley's version, he does.
Fancy?
Yeah, but I'm wondering if Tushar has an opinion on this.
I mean, Ryan Adams wondered why Oasis stopped doing it when they heard him play it. That's how good it was.
For Fancy, how the original, why is this one better? Is it from lyrically? Is it from
I'm gonna
production?
be completely
Well, A, I've
honest
never
with
heard
you.
the other one,
I
that's
have
why.
never heard the original.
Yeah, that's
But this song, let me tell you something
You
right now.
seem pretty
Let
certain.
me tell you something right now. The fuck, well, not fuck 90s country. 90s country aside, this song is one of my favorite songs
great
of
song.
all time across
It could be a
all
movie.
genres.
It was
I
Pretty Woman.
love this motherfucking song. I relate to this song. Matter of fact, too, Sharp.
This
We'll
song's
talk more about that
incredible.
later. Yeah.
Now, as far as what you're asking, I have heard it. I think this one's better because Reba's voice is a little richer, but it's also nostalgic for me. Part of the reason we didn't know the other one is this was when we were 6 and 5, 7 and 5 and
You're right.
4.
It had airtime.
And then it's classic. It plays for the next 10 years on country radio. And we didn't hear the other one, so this is the one that's beating our head for that nostalgia or whatever. But also, it sold more copies, and it had the iconic video, which if you're listening right now or watching on YouTube, go watch Fancy Reba MacEntire right now. It's a full movie. It's incredible. She takes some creative license, which I appreciate. Like, there's nothing in the lyrics that say she's a movie star. And then that driver's like, I didn't say
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, watching that video does kind of like, when you watch that video, you start filling in holes in the song, and you're like, okay, like, oh shit, I didn't know that about them. And so, like, that video kind of, like, now that you go back and listen to the song, it sort of informs all that stuff, which is different. And I maintain that now, like, again, even though Bobbie Gentry wrote the song, it can evolve over time, and now that song means more. And now I go, okay, she actually went out and did all these other cool things, and like that, to me, that's what makes a song cool. It's a living piece of evolving art.
Yeah, absolutely. And she made it her own. All right, let's get into it. You ready? Let's do some lyrics. I remember it all very well looking back. It was the summer I turned 18. We lived in a one-room, rundown shack on the outskirts of New Orleans. Can I just say right here from a poetic standpoint, this is borderline perfect in terms of the number of syllables.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Bobbie Gentry's
Oh,
unbelievable.
I was about to say, we did mention that Bobbie Gentry, like, also wrote the original.
Right.
She didn't just do it; she wrote and recorded. So I mean, you got to give it up to that.
Dude, by the way, at that moment in country music, for a woman to do that is literally insane.
She also did the bill.
And please let me say this: I don't mean that it's crazy that a woman was able to do that. I mean, it's crazy that a woman was allowed to do that during that time.
I mean, she borderline wasn't. That's another
What was her
reason
time?
This version,
1969 is when this came out.
That's another reason this version is more popular. Is like she wasn't getting airplay because Bobbie Gentry had a whole thing with a song about the birth control pill. That did Loretta Lynn end up recording it?
It was Loretta Lynn that ended up recording it. And what happened back in those days was, so there was a thing called payola that was going on, which basically the record producers would come in to the radio stations made your song. Like if these Nashville radio stations didn't play your shit, you're not getting your shit played. So they would come
There wasn't
in
no
there.
internet to be discovered on.
It's like when you go into.
So I don't know if you know this, we didn't have TikTok.
But I'm saying back in those days, it was like when you walked into a restaurant and they were like, "We don't have a table," and you just shook their hand and gave them a 50, and they're like, "Oh, we have a table." They would do that shit at radio stations.
Fucking radio, terrestrial radio DJs used to make so much
money.
fucking
And the
money.
thing is,
they were loaded.
It was a huge fucking boys club back then. So like all the dudes would come in there and they would get their shit played, and like all the girls, like they didn't have that fucking bandwidth for all that shit. So like the guys would just keep getting their shit played, and not that like some of them songs weren't amazing,
especially if you're writing about birth control pills and making it.
They
as
didn't
a
want to
whore.
hear that shit. They didn't want to hear that shit. Like they were just like, no, we're talking about going to the honky tonk. We're not trying to challenge anybody, especially from a goddamn woman standpoint.
I mean, let's not act like any of that ever really changed
But
or is any different now. If we're talking about country radio,
Yeah,
like
it's still very much the same.
that's always been
But
true.
to be fair, she had a pop hit on her hands because the pop people would play it because it was the 60s and women's lib. And so on that side of things, Bobbie Gentry got it out and actually had a decent pop hit. And then that made it get on the country charts, and it did okay. But that's right. Let's get back to it.
But it was a different time, though, where, like, nowadays, if you put out something that was challenging to something, that would go viral in a way. But back then, it would just get smashed to the fucking ground.
If they could, but that's what I'm saying. They tried to smash her, and she got on the pop charts. Bobbie Gentry, man, she was the something else. All right, here we go. I remember it all very well looking back. It was the summer I turned 18. We lived in a one-room, rundown shack on the outskirts of New Orleans. We didn't have money for food or rent. To say the least, we were hard-pressed. Then Mama spent every last penny we had to buy me a dancing dress.
So immediately right there, what we've set up is that this is a hero story.
Mm-hmm.
that it is one of these situations to where people can't even comprehend this, but that sometimes when people hoe, it's not that they desperately wanted to hoe.
Well, hold on, we ain't even gotten to the hoeing yet.
I'm just okay. What we're setting up right here is we don't have a fucking thing else to do.
Nothing.
We are sitting here and we have no goddamn money.
It gets so much worse.
Of course it does.
I'm saying like what you're talking about, getting laid out. Like
I'm saying is like immediately in the first verse, we're setting up this story of like, I'm immediately on your team. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. You're in a desperate situation, whatever it is. You laid it out.
Poverty stricken.
Everybody. Well, I won't say everybody, but like there's country fans at least are hearing this going like, what'd you do next? You know what I mean? Like you got it. Are you selling dope?
And let's go.
All right. Mama washed and combed and curled my hair, and then she painted my eyes and lips. And then I stepped into a satin dancing dress that had a split side clean up to my hip. It was red velvet trim, and it fit me good, standing back from the looking glass. There stood a woman where a half-grown kid had stood.
That's fucking great.
Now, let me ask you this.
Great.
When we saw these lyrics earlier, okay, she just turned 18. Can I tell you that that's actually amazing for the time that Bobbie Gentry was writing that song?
I know.
And I say that because during that time, 1969, when Bobbie Gentry wrote that song, that line easily could have been 15. And it would have changed the fucking song.
Even though it starts out with that line, in my head, I always pictured her as younger. Even like I knew she was 18. It says it right there.
Of course.
But you think of like a 15-year-old or something.
At that time when Bobbie Gentry was writing that song, if she had said 15, everybody in the world would have been like, word. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like 18 is a very now age for a woman to come of age. Like, it was very different back then. Like, we've heard all the goddamn stories of Jerry Lee Lewis and all these fucking like horrible things. Like, yeah, he married his cousin. She was 14. They were like, his uncle was cool with it.
What's wild about that? Well, whatever. We don't want to get sidetracked on that. But that kind of didn't hit for people even then. But go ahead.
Yeah, but it was accepted.
For sure.
All right. I think right here.
Did I do a bad thing?
Nope. Not at all. I think right here, before we get into where we're going, let's let the Indian Outlaw comment on where we're at as a story, drawing us in. Some of the poetry we didn't get to. We know where we're at. We're on the outskirts of New Orleans. We know that we're poor and destitute. We're in a one-room shack. And then Mama has spent all the money on one dancing dress that we now made her look like a woman. And that's some good foreshadowing. But I don't think it's obvious upon first read, if you don't know where this is going, where this is going.
Yeah, it seems that she was a third party in this thing where her mom is just pushing her into this thing, and she didn't know what she was getting into.
It almost seems like a marriage situation.
Right. She's forced. It's an arranged prostitute.
Right. Well, it ends up potentially being that. I think it is that, probably arranged in the prostitution world. But I'm saying at this point in the song, it could be a marriage. It could be, you know what I mean, a debutante ball that you got to get ready for and meet a man.
It's also, it's a little glorified. Yeah. She's glorifying what she went through. She's not saying it in a way that's like, oh my, poor me.
Yeah.
She's saying this is what happened.
Yep, not a victim.
It is what it is, yeah.
Well, and she gets back to that later about people judging it, which I think is another reason the fucking radio wouldn't let that third verse in. But let's...
speaking of, when I was a kid and everything, I thought it like was a debutante ball situation.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
I thought
you know
what
I mean? Just like go find a man at a debutante ball, and she found a rich man.
I thought there was a man already set up. I thought her mama gave her to an old man.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was a kid, I didn't think none of that shit. Like, and like when I got to be a teenager, I heard it again, and I was like, oh shit. But like the first time I heard it when I was like 7 or 8, like I thought I just heard, here's your one chance, hands it all in me down.
Oh, you mean you didn't know what any of it was
None
about?
Of it. Like,
well, when I say
7.
kid, I mean like in high school. Well, I'm sure when I was 7 or 8, I didn't.
But it was one of those songs that like later blew my mind when I got older. Like that song aged with me because like the song hit for me so hard when I was a kid, but like the song hit for me as like this anthem. You know, like
I agree
because it's one of those things where like
got an anthem vibe.
That's what I'm saying. Like you don't have to know what's going on. It's one of those songs where you don't have to know any of the lyrics to know this song is a banger because it's so fucking good. Because when I was a kid, I would just see people like, "Here's your one chance, fancy on them," and I would just hear that and I was just like,
"Well, women would be like, that's about me."
Yeah, right. Get your shit in. Get your shit, girl. And then like I got like a little bit older in high school and like I started like smoking weed and stuff and I heard that song and it like informed so much of my shit from my childhood. I was like, oh my God. And it made me respect at the time, because I didn't know that it was a Bobbie Gentry thing. I was like, fucking shit, Reba. My God, you're fucking way more awesome than I thought you were.
Well, also the music video. I remember my opinion that, she's giving her to an old man was informed by that music video. The music video is iconic and goes along with it. And that's another great thing about 90s country for me is music videos had just started. And I was very into them. Like, that was how I consumed my stuff. My parents were old.
CMT.
I watched music videos. CMT, baby.
Yeah.
Country music television. All right, let's
the Indian equivalent of this is your dad pushing you into med school. Like the early years.
Putting a white coat on you in front of a mirror when you're a pudgy 16-year-old or whatever.
Science Olympiad.
Forgive me for what I do. But if you want to make it,
you gotta meet some Jews. sorry. I'm sorry.
It's true, though.
That's more of a show business thing, honestly.
Here's a stethoscope that costs everybody in our town.
You don't want to have to take all these calls from people that don't have their computers work. I get it. I understand.
Well, all right.
Next line.
I understand. I just know what you're going through.
Here we go. Well, okay. We already did. Now we're to the hook. She said, here's your one chance, fancy, don't let me down. Here's your one chance, fancy, don't let me down. Mama dabbed a little bit of perfume on my neck, and then she kissed my cheek. And then I saw the tears welling up in her troubled eyes as she started to speak.
Rough.
She looked at our pitiful shack, and then she looked at me and took a ragged breath. She said, your paws run off, and I'm real sick, and the baby's going to starve to death.
God damn.
That's what I'm saying.
Darkness.
I'm saying we're in a Western right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not like when
ragged breath.
Now that you're hearing this, you're like.
You think it's CPD or whatever that is?
Maybe, or coal mine. Like, this is definitely
Smoking too much.
bare minimum taking place in the coal mines of Kentucky.
But this is New Orleans in a shack.
The coal mines of New Orleans.
I'm just saying where my head's at.
The
Like,
movie.
with all this, my point is, my head is going like, I think about this differently. No, like, there's so many people that would go like, you're fucking shipping your daughter out to be a whore. Fuck you. But like, she lays it out so well to where, like, look, she's crying and she's like, I don't want this to be the thing that's happening, but we can't fucking eat. We can't have, but like, so you're going to have to go sell some of that sweet on the side.
Well, but it's not, that's the thing that's wild about this story. And it's not clear here in the video. I remember as a kid, like, as I was piecing it together again, I thought she'd given her away to an old man, but I was like, but that's so y'all can eat. Why? I mean, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But why does Mama got to die and the baby being given away and all that? And it's like, oh shit, she wasn't even doing it to save herself. It was literally, this is the only way I know to get you out of this.
And it was almost like,
and that actually changes the entire tenor of the song. It's
selfless,
because again, the first time I heard this song, or first time I, as an adult, and I was like trying to decompress this song, I'm like, this mom sucks. Like, she's just trying to make a buck. But then you go through the song, it's like, no, the mom's not making anything. The mom's going like, our fucking life sucks. This is the only goddamn way you have out.
It almost alludes to, if she wasn't sick, she would be doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
Simply put, I would do it if I could.
And her face looks like smoker's lung, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is one of my favorite parts that I missed as a young man. She handed me a heart-shaped locket that said, to thine own self be true. And I shivered as I watched a roach crawl across the toe of my high heel shoe. And it sounded like somebody else that was talking, asking, so Mama, good. What do I do? She said, just be nice to the gentlemen, fancy. They'll be nice to you. And that's where, if you're listening closely to the lyrics, this is not an old man or a debutante.
It's
I guess
them.
It could be, but it's
them. It's a bunch of dudes.
It's whoredom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, for the record, we here on Bubba Shot the Podcast are very sex positive. We're very sex work positive.
Yep.
Love whores. Love them.
But
support them.
Very pro whore, yeah.
Very pro whore. But there are, like, there's a lot of them that, like, just, that's not what they decided. It's what was decided for them.
Well, that's why I'm fancy.
I've got to, just since we're on this lyric, I'm just going to talk about myself for a minute. So I used to
be a whore.
Let's put our mics down. Ray Crowder, everybody!
I used to have this bet where I would talk about how white trash I was growing up and not realizing how white trash I was. And I was talking about my first college girlfriend was rich. She was a rich girl, but she wasn't. I just thought she was rich because like her daddy owned a body shop in Nashville or whatever, which was rich to me. So I was talking about how like, when I was getting ready for our first date, I was in the bathroom and I was singing. It's like I was in the bathroom, like, here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. And then I said, just be nice to the sorority girls, Fancy. They'll be nice to you. But
they weren't.
No, they were.
Oh, good.
Chin strap played. Chin strap played,
Well,
motherfucker.
I just mean sorority girls are usually mean, especially to a dude who's
No, they're
one
not.
of them.
No, they're not.
They were mean to me.
What does chin strap mean?
I had a chin strap beard.
Oh.
So you're
Hey,
not just
oh
the
no.
one that was sleeping with you. All of them was nice to you?
Yeah. They were. My sister was also in that same sorority.
Oh, see,
That's an
my
end.
experience was the one you were hooking up with, and one of her friends was nice to me, and the rest of them hated me.
No, the DGs, they were nice. But
The Dollar Generals?
But so I'm saying, I always, and there's another line later, but like just having been such poor white trash, and we're all kind of whores, comedians, you know. Anyway, I'm just saying, I relate to this song, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Had to get out of that.
Buddy,
Get out of that shit. What was I going to do?
you know who relates
Pour myself
to it?
out on stage. That's what.
You know who relates to it super hard, in my experience, hanging out in Nashville with Teats at a lot of gay bars with drag shows is drag queens, and you ain't fucking lived till you seen a drag queen crush the fuck out of this song.
For sure.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, dude, I used to go to drag
Especially
shows.
in Nashville, dude.
Buddy.
Karaoke shit in Nashville, whatever, is wild
Bringing the house down.
because everybody's can fucking sing there.
Before Lady Gaga was a thing. Like now that Lady Gaga's a thing, and I hadn't been to a drag show in like a long time. Well, that's not true.
I got my butt fingered at a drag show.
But like Lady Gaga is still like a mainstay at drag shows,
Mm-hmm.
as it should be. It's fucking great. But when I first started doing comedy, I opened for a lot of drag shows, and Fancy was definitely a thing. Like you knew someone was doing Fancy.
Yep.
And they would wear a red wig, and they would go up there, and they would fucking murder. And what was always wonderful to me is that I had so many of my straight, like, not that I'm not straight, but like so many of my straight, you know the like we're straight, but like there's our buddies that are like straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're straight.
So like when I first started doing comedy, we would go to this place called
That
Alan
was
Gold.
Tony the Tiger.
We would go to Alan Gold's, and it was down the road from the comedy club, and it was the drag bar. And all my buddies, I would be like, y'all just need to come to Alan Gold's with us. And they would just be like, wait, that's the drag bar, right? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, that's where all the gay people hang out. And I was like, yeah, and also me. And they were like, no, I'm not going to that. And I go, do you know that you don't have to like walk into the room and suck a dick, right? Like it's cool. And then
I do on Wednesdays.
and I would convince them to go, and they would finally go, and they would get there, and they would realize that there was $5 Long Island pitchers. Like it's the cheap, like every drag bar I've ever been to has the best drink deals in the world. And then they would get there and they would drink those pitchers, and they were like, oh, this ain't that bad. And then the show would start, and like almost every fucking time somebody would start doing, like there would be a drag queen doing Fancy, and all my fucking redneck buddies would just get fucking so into it and would end up like kissing one of the drag queens on the list. Like, and I did too. They were just like, yeah, come on, everybody. Nah, you got it. Because we just get so drunk on Long Island iced teas. So like that song was like such a part of the redneck fucking drag queen subculture that like kind of intertwined. It's a very important song, is all I'm saying.
That's very important. That was a beautiful story. Thank you so much for telling it, because it made me very happy.
Thank you.
I want to imagine your friends making out with them, and then like the next day, you did it too.
For the record,
You did it too.
And what I'm so proud of is that so many of my redneck buddies still to this day go to drag bars because they're like,
fun.
they'll be like, man, I'll tell you, like, here's the deal. Like, you ain't got to do none of that stuff.
No.
But like,
Them queers are a good time now.
dude, I'm telling
They
you,
are.
They don't rape.
And they're good kissers.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm fucking telling you, some of the most redneck house building motherfuckers in Chickamauga. are
House
like,
building.
but they do. They build houses. But there's, but
they build
those,
houses.
Those dudes are like every day with a hammer. They're like, I'm telling you, man, I'll go to the goddamn
Well,
gay
also-
bar. It's you, dude. For my money, $5 pitcher of goddamn Long Island iced tea. kiss a dude that has titties.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say. This is a very inappropriate phrasing, but this is the porn category or whatever. Chicks with dicks is like a huge porn category for straight men. You know what I mean?
Let me
His
tell you
for
right
show.
now, let me tell you right now on this podcast, I've jacked off many a times to
4 titties.
A chick with a dick.
to a chick with a dick.
4
for sure.
titties.
I didn't care.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
4 titties there.
There's plenty of titties, and I'm like, oh, whatever. Look, if the titties are nice, the dick's fine.
Like most of the women you've dated, we just need to move on.
The titties are
Whatever.
nice, the
I'm
dick's
just saying,
fine.
I've jacked off to some trans shit.
Yeah,
You know
of
what I mean?
course. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Rock and roll.
whatever. I'm sex positive.
Yeah,
That's
I got.
fine.
What have
the
you
first time I
not
went
jerked
to
off to?
Very
not
little.
penguins.
Oh,
There you
my
go.
wife.
Yeah. Here we are.
That's actually not true. He told
I
me. Yeah,
I definitely jerk off to my wife.
he was mic'd up once, and there was like sound people there, and he was also drunk because it was late at night, and he thought he was just talking to me, forgetting he was on the mic. And he was like, "Hey, Amber sent me a picture of titties earlier, and I jacked off to it. That's pretty sweet, right? I jacked off my wife's
wild,
titties.
you
Ain't
know what I
that
mean?
ain't that wild? That's
I'm
That's how you know
adorable."
you're doing road
And they're
trip.
over there like laughing. The
I'm
crew's over there
jacking off to
laughing
my
and
wife's
shit.
titties. That's
Yeah.
wild.
I'm genuinely upset
He's
you
like-
tell me that.
He's like coming out straight to you.
To his lover. Listen, I still love you, but
I can't wait to clip this out. And use it.
Key West, first time I ever been to a drag bar, was not quite. I was comfortable, but not. This drag queen stuck her hand in the back of my pants and touched my butthole,
Well, that's
and I stood straight up, and then I sat back down because she threw me down.
Yeah,
I
because it's
liked
like a
it.
puppeteer at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, she made me talk. All right, here we go. Back to the whore song. You ready?
Yeah.
She said, "Here's your one chance, fancy, don't let me down. Here's your one chance, fancy, don't let me down. Lord, forgive me for what I do, but if you want out, well, it's up to you. Now, don't let me down now. Your mama's going to move you uptown." Now, this is the first time we've had the full chorus with the hook and the mama and all that. I think it's very powerful. I do want to go back to some imagery we didn't skip over, but I just want to point it out. I feel like, and I shivered as I watched a roach crawl across the toe of my high heel shoe.
Oh, that's all right.
It's
Dog.
such a beautiful fucking image of the destitute she was coming from and where she was headed
Also,
with that high heel on.
right after that, when she says, "It felt like somebody else was talking, asking Mama, what do I do?" That's just so like
Well,
evocative.
dude,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
dude, like this song could have been a play.
right.
You know what I mean?
That
like
video
that's,
was one.
that's one of those. That's one of those instances where like it's a 3.5 minute song, but like if you take this song and you give it to the best screenwriter, whoever, like Tennessee Williams, this whole thing could be a play. And that is so much of what,
Pretty Woman.
like so many 90s country songs that people shit on that we love. You go back up for a fucking second and look at the fucking story that these people are telling and tell me that if you walked into a goddamn theater and heard this story verbatim, but without the music, you wouldn't think this was a goddamn compelling story. And that line right there informs all of that.
Hell yeah, it does. Hell yeah. And one thing we skipped about the drag bars, according to my friends, and I don't, there's no database, Fancy is like one of the 3 most common drag queen names in the South.
Of
because
course.
this song.
There you go.
All right.
By the way, did you know?
What's number one, Dolly?
I think it's some say it's Dolly and some say it's either Dixie or Trixie.
That,
Yeah.
Hey, did you know also, and I learned this listening to Dolly's America, that like the South has the highest percentage of LGBTQ people in it?
How do they measure that?
I don't know.
They're probably asking papaws.
Yeah, they're all gay.
That was really good.
Never mind, you fucking figured it out.
That was good.
They're
In
all
a survey of
fucking gay.
papaws, turns out the South has the highest
That's
concentration of
all.
queers in the whole country. Although I don't know, a papaw would absolutely tell you that that's California. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where's all the queers at?
But they would only
California.
ask the papaw about where he's at.
But
How many gays are around here? Everybody.
Everywhere.
My whole family.
You seen these kids?
Yeah.
Goddamn.
You seen my papa? You seen my grandson Drew?
Yeah,
And that's all funny.
gay as a day is
That's all
long.
funny, and I believe that. But at the same time, hearing that information, I have to go, all right, why would that be true that all these people in the South
It's
have come
percentage
out?
wise.
Yeah, they were like, there's just a bunch
I
of
could see it-
queers.
I could see it.
It's more
percentage-wise.
suppressed.
But we leave too.
We do leave, but I'm
Right.
saying like
us guys from the
I have
South,
to
we
think
leave.
that it has something to do with what
There's
Dolly.
a lot of letters in that now.
I have to think it has something to do with what Dolly and what Reba and what a lot of people have done to people's identity in the South.
Dolly and Reba, let me think about this so I don't misspeak. Celine Dion's probably up there. I think Dolly and Reba are probably the two most common white lady covers or examples of drag queens.
Dolly's the biggest. I mean,
but Dolly's definitely
the
number
South,
one.
Dolly's
I don't
the
know.
biggest
I
gay-
don't.
Dolly might be. It's Dolly and Cher are the two biggest gay icons that have ever lived.
Whitney Houston.
I don't know that
I'm pretty sure I do.
of gay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of drag queens.
Okay, sure. But I. This is like I'm just saying like these gay people were talking about what
You just really put some stank on it that time. These gay people
I'm
were
just saying
talking.
they were talking about how like actually like if you look at the percentages of like the homosexuals in America, the percentage of there's so many of them in the South, and and coming out. And I have to imagine.
New coming out.
And I have to imagine that it's
if
like
that's what it is, I now understand.
And I have
it.
to imagine
because
that
they're
it's like
only
in
just
California-
now doing it.
in-
They would
in
come out other
California,
places.
You don't have to come out.
That's
There's
what
like,
You're just
saying.
out.
In other places.
Or like-
If it's a recent
back.
thing,
Yeah.
then in other regions,
Yeah.
they've been more comfortable doing
But
it.
that really-
Only now in the
But
South are
regardless,
they comfortable
that's
coming
fucking
out.
awesome. And I
Yeah,
love
it's awesome.
that.
I love it.
And like
Super rad.
if you can point,
He's
that,
trying to make a sweet point, and we're like, now hold on.
No,
now.
but I believe but I'm saying like if you can point that to songs like Fancy and people like Dolly, like it really makes me it makes me go, my fucking lifelong endeavor into loving country music is worth so much more because of how much these people mean to other people. And that's like, cause I've just always been like, I hear country music, I get drunk. This is great. And like you hear a song like Fancy, and when I hear Fancy, I go, fuck yeah, here's your one. And I want to get drunk. But like, there's people hearing that song that are very different than me that take so much more from that. And then they go, I can fucking tell my parents that I'm gay. Like, that's amazing. Or I can tell my parents that I want to fucking suck dick for money. That's amazing too.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Am I wrong here?
Well, I just don't know. Like,
The connection I'm trying to make.
I do as far as like the Dolly and everything. I don't know that a gay kid listens to Fancy and goes, I can tell my mama I'm gay.
I guess
because of Fancy.
I guess all I was saying was like, it's the
Right.
power of feminism too. Like, and I was equating feminism to homosexuality, which is probably wrong. But all I'm saying is like, all I'm trying to say is that these songs that we grew up loving and we grew up thinking were just pure country music that we loved to hear at honky tonks.
Turns out the gays like them too.
All I'm saying is that they're more important than we gave them credit for. And this song in particular is more important than I thought it was. That's all I'm trying to say, is that like our genre that we are sitting here trying to make comedy on is actually making waves in people's lives. And that's amazing to me because it gives me the thought of, hell yeah, I should have been listening to this shit all along. It's rad.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
I mean, yeah.
Y'all are mad at me right now.
We,
No.
we just, yeah.
We can go
I
to
have had too much whiskey. I'm
Well,
not gonna lie.
I mean, I knew it was rad.
It is rad.
All right. Lyrics?
Yeah, do your thing.
All right.
Do your podcast, Drew. do your podcast that I'm a guest on. Go ahead.
Damn, man, that was heartfelt. I lost my place.
I meant it though.
I know.
I truly meant it.
And no way am I making fun of you. I don't know
I
what
know.
to say.
You should mean to make fun of me.
Well, that was the last time I saw my mom. The night that I left that rickety shack, the welfare people came and took the baby mama died, and I ain't been back.
us.
That's the
That's the
line.
line.
That's the line.
Now
Yeah,
let's
right.
let's pause right here and I genuinely love this about the song because the song is about Fancy. Bobbie Gentry wrote it from the perspective of Fancy. She sent the baby away and killed mama and said I ain't been back. Just in one couplet, 2 lines. That's
It's a
I'm about to
lot.
sound like Corey. I'm just going to preach on it for a minute, but god damn.
I'm sorry.
No, this writing right here, that's really, really, really incredible fucking writing in my opinion.
The whole goddamn song.
Right.
Like,
Naming her Fancy is amazing.
yeah.
It's like when Kanye said, "I couldn't afford Alexa, so I named my daughter Alexis."
Yeah.
That's the same shit.
I think this is better, but yeah.
we get
It's
to
way
that.
better. It is better, but I'm saying like that's a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Couldn't
Like
afford
I'm
a
gonna name
car.
my daughter Fancy.
It's
Like
her.
we're living in a goddamn shack. I'm gonna name my daughter Fancy.
He's also shitting on the woman. You couldn't afford a car, so you named your daughter Alexis.
Okay.
When it all falls down, it's all about this woman thinking that capital. Anyway, it don't matter. Kanye's was pretty fucking good. Tushar. I feel like we haven't heard from Indian Outlaw in a minute.
I mean, that last 4 lines is fucking wild. It doesn't it hits you. I want to go back to what you guys are talking about in terms of like inspiring people to come out. Like, I don't understand. Maybe we can get to the end of it, but is this appeal to alternative lifestyle people because obviously Fancy had such a shitty life and she got forced into it? Is that it?
I have a theory. I think it's like 3 things. First of all, Reba is a Southern female icon. So in the drag queen culture, you know, that type of music, Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, Dolly Parton, those are
right.
You know, we're going to be looking to Reba anyway. Here's a song that is very female empowering. It is, so that's right in line with what drag queens often want to do. It's got a fucking killer hook.
Amazing hook.
Right.
One of the best hooks in country music history.
Fancy, you know. I mean, it's a great name. It's right. So that, and then exactly, in my opinion, what you said. The story of this song is, bitch, I made it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and you
started from the bottom.
You look at Lizzo, also becoming a gay icon in the drag community. Like, bitch, I made it is like fucking huge in that world.
Right. Against all odds.
Yeah, and I think it's because of what you said. You're already marginalized.
Right.
But I don't know.
Well,
No, that makes
and
sense.
Again, though, like
If I knew Corey was going to do that soliloquy, I might have had a gay person on to talk about it.
well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I even said that.
Why?
Well, I'm just saying, like
Drew is the one who brought up how popular it is at drag shows.
Yeah.
And
No, I
everything.
know,
And then
but
you took that ball and run with it.
I sure did. Ran right up my own ass with it.
Yeah,
But,
which
like,
is what you do with your balls when you're
I
trying
sure
to.
do. But like the video does kind of do different things to the song.
Yes, it
you know
does.
what I'm saying?
100%.
So like in the song, you don't necessarily know that she's coming back to her town. She's a movie star. Like all this shit.
That was all
'cause, like,
added.
that doesn't often happen with whores. You know what I'm saying?
Which
Like
part? Did they come
whole,
back
like,
to their town?
now she like the way that her driver is talking to her in the fucking video.
Oh, become a movie star.
Is the way that her driver is talking to her in the video is not like you're a prostitute and you're coming back to this town. The way that the driver is talking to her in the video is that he's literally talking to her like she's fucking.
You're right about that, yeah.
I'm saying he's talking to her like she's Sharon Stone, Julia Roberts, like, oh, you're a famous person. So like in the song, nothing in the song informs you of going like, and I stopped being a prostitute and I ended up being a movie star. But if you watch the video definitely makes you think, oh, she ended up being fucking Julia Roberts.
But the song
that
does
changes shit.
The song does on its own make you think she made it.
Of course,
but there's no indication of how. So Reba
but not
definitely
made
took
it,
some
but not made it out
No,
of
she could be
whoredom.
But okay,
Again.
first of all, I don't know about
I
the
love
video.
the
I don't know
boredom.
the video. I didn't even think nothing. First of all, I know you said it's iconic. I believe that. I did not remember the video. We watched it.
I didn't either.
We watched it before we started this, and I
used to
didn't.
watch it all the time.
I didn't even really think about that until you pointed it out. But now I'm sitting here thinking, like, yeah, I don't know why they did that.
It's
I know
because
why.
it makes the
but-
song so much different.
I know, and I don't think they should have. But
Here's why I think they
she
did.
says she's an aristocrat. I could see someone like she was one of her dudes was like
Producer.
some really famous guy or something like that. And
Harvey
she was
Weinstein
she was
or
on
some
red
shit like
carpets and shit like that with this guy. You know
Was
what I
hitting
mean?
so
And
hard.
became a thing for
Yes,
that
that's
reason.
what I'm saying.
I think
I know,
the
but that ain't a
but
movie star.
I
I'm not
think the
talking
reason
about
Reba did it.
her becoming like an actor movie star. That don't make no sense.
I think the
But
reason
that's what the video would have you to believe.
No,
I think
he
that
didn't
the
say.
reason-
Did he say like I love all your shit? He was.
Yes, he did.
What'd he
goes,
say?
I love everything you've been in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Never mind.
His
And-
limits
Never mind.
are-
That doesn't. That
Yeah,
don't
her-
make any sense,
her-
man.
I know it. It changed.
Here's
the
why
fucking
she
song.
did it. I'm telling you, here's why she did it. She did it because she needed to make the story a little bit more more palatable for CMT and the audiences. If she's just in the video a madam or whatever, and now she has women under her, they ain't gonna let you do that. And then also, she wanted to make it about her. Reba wanted to be a movie star. He also says, "I like your songs."
But dude, it's a
She's a singer and a fucking movie.
It's an example of like the video.
So it's like if Reba MacEntire had lived this life as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Like that's what the video
With
is
a
like.
different name.
The video, if you just watch the video,
Well, but in the video, her name is
if
Fancy.
you just
I'm
watch
saying.
the
Fancy
video,
Rebecca.
it changes the entire fucking song. Because
I agree with you.
In the video,
I didn't even think about it, but
changes the
I
whole
didn't
It's the
song.
only
think
thing I
about
can
it,
think
but
about.
I agree with you.
in
Though.
the video, like she clearly like is doing all this prostitution shit, and then she meets some dude, and then turns out
She's Hillary Clinton.
there you go, she's Hillary Clinton. or what the fuck ever. But like I'm just saying, like in the video, it very much changes the song of like she ends up being a Hollywood actress that has made it, and her face is on billboards because he mentions that shit. He's like, I've seen everything you've done. I see your face everywhere, and now she's coming back to her hometown. So she's not just.
I don't know how I feel about all that.
It changes the fucking song, dude.
But to be fair, like I said, I didn't remember the video at all. Not, you know what I mean?
But
Like,
let's talk about some famous stars who did sex work.
Okay.
Who do exist. Cardi B. As far as we
Sure.
know, she was just an exotic dancer.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Uh-huh.
My bad. I said the. It's the.
Lady Gaga was a stripper. Hold on. There was one more I wanted to find. Of course, Channing Tatum.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because that was Magic Mike was based on his shit, right?
Brad Pitt did it.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not sitting. There's not a goddamn thing wrong with it.
Of course.
It's just not
that the video.
It's not the song.
It's just that if you listen to the song, you take whatever you want from the song, and then you watch the video, it changes the fucking song.
Roseanne
Just like
Barr
if you
was a
meet-
prostitute.
If you meet motherfucker, what
Yep.
no,
Right, no.
what?
Roseanne Barr was a
at
prostitute.
truck stops, right?
Prostitution is a business. I think it should be legal.
Well, that's different than
She did
says
it.
Roseanne Barr revealed she used to be a prostitute to earn money before making it in Hollywood. And she told Vanity Fair she has no shame whatsoever over being a sex
I mean,
worker.
first off, she
Didn't have any customers, but she was a prostitute.
I thought her whole
That.
I thought her whole thing was like,
Maya Angelou, which is crazy,
you know,
What? Get the-
Shut up.
Maya Angelou.
was, I don't know, a prostitute and brothel manager.
Where the fuck are you reading
which
this
she
from?
describes candidly in her 1974 memoir, Gather Together in My Name.
Huh.
Huh?
Well, shit.
Well,
Okay. Back to Fancy, I guess.
here's your one chance, Maya.
What were you gonna say, Tushar?
I was just gonna say back to the verse that in terms of what you said earlier of this is the hero's journey.
That
This
bird
is
could not be caged. You know what I mean?
I think whatever's next, just
That was my
Go
Angela,
ahead.
right? The caged bird.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm smart, everybody.
Corey knows why the cage bird
I knew
sings.
the caged bird. Yeah, and it fucks.
I was saying,
too,
like-
apparently. The caged bird sings and fucks.
All right, that's enough.
That's sorry. What? She said it.
Maya Angelou.
She said it.
She said it.
What?
I was saying
Tushar?
when it comes to her, this Fancy being a hero, this is the bottom. She's basically describing family died, I left, baby got taken away, her sister got taken away, and I guess on to the next verse.
All right.
Well, but the wheels of fate had started to turn. I mean, that's what's great about the writing, too. It's like, yeah, the wheels were turning. What was I supposed to do? It already had happened.
Right.
But the wheels
Well,
of
that's
fate
not-
had started to turn, and for me, there was no way out. And it wasn't very long until I knew exactly what my mama been talking about. I knew what I had to do, and I made myself this solemn vow that I was going to be a lady someday, though I don't know when or how. But I couldn't see spending the rest of my life with my head hung down in shame.
Here it comes.
You know, I might have been born just poor white trash, but fancy wasn't my name.
Hey,
I got too
here's your
excited.
one chance, Fancy, don't let me down.
That
My God.
fucking line right there is top 5 song lyrics of all time
Dude.
for me personally.
Dude.
One day, if
Dude.
I'm gonna have a houseboat with that quote painted on the wall when
Dude.
you walk in.
Dude,
Been
it's
born
name
just
the
plain
boat
white
Fancy.
trash.
Dude,
I
here's
thought
the
about
thing.
it.
I'll
I thought
be
about
honest
it.
with you. I don't even like. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that I identify with that shit. But like, even as just a regular motherfucker from the South, like that shit, like just as an anthem, that shit right there. When she goes, "I may be poor white trash, but fancy is
Fucking-
my name." Like that gets me
Pumped
fucking
up,
dick
hot.
hard,
I could
son.
run through a fucking brick
I'm just
wall
like,
with
you're
that line,
goddamn
dude.
right, bitch. You fucking tell him what's up.
I ain't gonna have to spend the rest of my life with my head hung down in shame. I might have been born just plain white trash, but fancy was my name. It
yeah,
fucking
shit
goes
is
so hard.
fucking
It goes
great.
so hard.
You know who I'd love to hear talk about that if he's aware of it? Have you ever heard Big Boy talk about how much he loves Kate Bush?
No.
He loves Kate Bush.
He has owls.
I would love to hear him talk about the lyrical aptitude of this song.
I guarantee you that Big Boy has heard this song and loves it.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, I'm glad you repeated it because I got so excited and chosed it up and I flubbed it a little bit.
That's on me.
So good. No, it's not. It's on me. All right. She said, here's your one chance, fancy. Don't let me down. She said, here's your one chance, fancy. Don't let me down. Then we're going to get into that third verse and we're going to get to it. But I guess let's go back. We focused on the best line in the song, hands down. One of the best lines in all of country music.
Mm.
One of the best
All
lines in
music.
all of music. But, man, there's a lot of power in making myself this solemn vow that I's gonna be. I also love that.
I's gonna be.
I's gonna be a lady someday, though I don't know when or how. I think Tushar maybe a little bit, and we don't even just have to talk about like gay people or any person who's been through anything can really identify with that song. That part.
I mean, she's talking about. It's all about her mom, and it's basically what her mom maybe couldn't be or couldn't provide her,
and what her mom had to do,
and what her mom had to do.
Come to
But
terms with that.
she's a reflection of what her mom was maybe wanting to be originally. And so it's just like same thing. A dad wants you to be a thing because he never could be the thing.
You think your mom wanted to be a prostitute?
I think her mom wanted to be someone who's notable and
Right.
all,
Yes.
whatever the beginning of that video was meaning to
Yes,
do.
She doesn't know anything as a young lady what prostitution is, but she knows what being a lady one day
Being a
means.
lady is,
Her
yeah,
mom
yeah.
put that in her. You're right.
And this is the path to being a lady.
right. And her mom didn't.
All right, I had some minor difficulties there. Hopefully they don't become major difficulties. But we were just talking about how they cut off the last verse, and he said,
And then we got cut off.
"The New York townhouse."
They tried to do it to us.
Yeah, and she ain't done bad. That's what
They charmed the
she ain't
king.
done bad. Yeah.
Charm. And I was
That's
doing
a
a
great way to
confession
put it.
about the book, which I don't know if this was on there, but in the book I failed to give Bobbie Gentry credit because I didn't know.
I didn't either.
And I also say in my blurb about the song in my hips that she got her a diplomat, not an aristocrat. And we said many times in the book that we did no research.
Yeah.
No. We did no reading for that book.
No, reading the book don't help.
No, you're already writing the book.
Dude, that's actually so true. Like during that book, I was like, "Yeah, well, here's what I think."
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
did.
gonna read nothing.
That is.
I remember I talked to an ETSU professor.
About redneck?
No, the pills one. I got some actual like numbers and shit for the pills one, but that's the only.
I did some research for the gun part, to be fair.
What is that? That's just bullshit.
It's like double. What is
That don't have anything to do with it. I'm on quick time right now. Okay, so let's just keep going. Let's go. Goddamn. We're on quick time. I don't know what the fuck this is. Some Hilton Hotel bullshit.
It wasn't long after Venerable man threw me up the streets. A moment later, I was poured in tea in a 5-room hotel suite. Suspicious of women. I charmed a king, a congressman, and an occasional aristocrat when I got me a Georgia Mansion and an elegant New York townhouse flat, and I ain't done bad.
She ain't done bad.
Now, in this world, there's a lot of self-righteous hypocrites that call me bad and criticize Mama for turning me out no matter how little we had. Now, I've always wondered right here, turning out, I've always heard that from rappers. Is that a real old term for, being turned into a prostitute?
Yeah.
I thought it was new.
You've never heard of turn 'em out?
I have. I thought it was from the 2000s.
No, turn them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's hoes.
I knew that.
That's hoes.
I thought it was a new phrase. I thought it was a hip-hop phrase. I don't ever heard it hip-hop.
I can understand why you think that, and I probably did too, but like, yeah, that's just like, turn them out. You can turn that girl out.
Yeah.
She's a hoe.
Okay. But though I ain't had to worry about nothing for nigh on 15 years, well, I can still hear the desperation in my poor mama's voice ringing in my ears. She said, "Here's your one chance, fancy, don't let me down. Oh, here's your one chance, fancy, don't let me down. Lord, forgive me for what I do, but if you want out, it's up to you. Now don't let me down now. Your mama's gonna move you uptown." And I guess she did. And you know, it might have just been like adding a word to make it fit the rhyme, the pentameter or whatever the hell it's called. But I feel like the guess in that last line, it's like this song is about her realizing, damn, Mama did, I did this, but Mama did this too.
Right.
I got me out, and the song is about me getting me out, but Mama did this. She said she was
Right.
going to do it,
Right.
and she did.
It's almost like an immigrant story.
Damn, yeah.
Or someone trying to come out. Or any major struggle that
Yes.
your
Well, it's
parents
all-
or someone who guided you threw you into.
It's almost just like there's nuance to that entire thing. Like, yeah, like,
Real quick.
well, I'm just saying, like, everyone wants to go like, oh, you're a prostitute, you're this, you're that, you're just someone who, like, there's so many people nowadays, especially like with the advent of OnlyFans, and we're living in a different world where people go like, oh, you want to just show your butthole because you don't want to work,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
But there was a time. Listen to me for a second.
We've all been listening to you.
Listen to me for a
bunch of seconds.
Listen to me for a goddamn
I
second.
mean, the fucking computer
Just
shut
one
down
more
last time.
second.
I got tired of guys.
All I'm
One more
saying
second.
is there's a lot of motherfuckers in Brooklyn.
A lot of
that-
self-righteous hypocrites that call them bad.
There's a lot of motherfuckers in Brooklyn who are like, motherfucker, can you ball or can you rap? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that's right, but that's what they were saying. Like, do you want to get out? And in Appalachia, there was a lot of motherfuckers at this time that was just like, man, look.
You be a
man,
whore.
I mean, I'm just.
I don't think that was one of them.
Yes, it was. Are you kidding me? That's what this fucking song is
The
about.
song is about that happened to one person. But I don't think that was ever like a common way to get out. I think it was like a
Not a way to get out, I agree with you. It's a
I'm not
way
saying
to
it was a-
survive.
yes.
There you go. But that's what I'm fucking saying.
In Brooklyn, it would be more equal to selling drugs. Not
But
balling rapping.
my fucking point is,
yeah.
is that there's some people in this situation where it's not that they were sitting there going like, I don't want to get a regular job. They were going like, I have to do this to get my family through.
Was that Cleveland?
Cleveland, yeah.
I don't know. You're a regular guy, Tatum.
Tatum. Come on now. You don't want me to have to sell my butthole to everybody. That's nasty, Peter. It's the stank in here. No, but I'm just saying. all I'm saying is like there's nuance to all that bullshit.
There's a lot of self-righteous
And there's some
hypocrites in the
that
world
That
that
bad.
bad.
They criticize these people no matter how little
No.
they had.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying.
That's exactly what. Well, it is exactly what I'm saying.
No, it's also exactly what's in the song.
I know. But
They
motherfuckers
know
don't.
this.
Well, I'm trying to tell the goddamn audience that shit. I'm not trying to explain it to you motherfuckers. I know that you're smart. I understand that
Dumbass
shit.
audience.
You dumbass
Shit,
Tell that
dumb
woman
that
on.
shit.
Well, would y'all not? Didn't y'all have no ideas about fancy, motherfucker? I was trying to make a good point. And you're like, you doing a goddamn
He's had 2 pints of whiskey, folks.
Was I not? Well, I'm saying I was trying to make you goddamn
rushing.
I was trying to
Nothing
make
you
you
said
goddamn
was
point.
false. Nothing you said was boring. You are murdering.
All
You know
I'm
what you're-
fucking
You're as
saying.
good as the song Fancy right
All
now.
I'm
In
saying-
fact, you are just saying the lyrics to the
Yeah,
song.
that's right.
And in conclusion,
Fair.
the self-righteous.
That's fair. That's fair.
People bad.
That's
All right,
fair.
wait, we're going to kick out of
Yeah, we are.
You're right.
Screaming.
Well, WellRED, comedy.com. WELLRED. Comedy.
How many is this podcast?
Oh, my bad. You're right.
Well, we can.
Yeah, that's fine too. It's the
Well,
same.
do you not want people to come say some sort of?
Buddy, I do.
Am I wrong in that
Just
too?
laughing that you did it.
I was just really. I just thought.
Well,
that
we
I
don't. We
believed
need.
that.
Hold on. We got to rate it. We got to do a lot of things. I give it. I don't even
Earnhardt.
remember what the scale is. Is it 3 Earnhardts?
That's
I
the
give
best
it,
you can
buddy.
get.
I give it 3 Earnhardts and a fucking Dale Jr.
3 Earnhardts, a Dale Jr., and a Richard Petty BC powder.
There you go. How many Earnhardt you give?
Yeah.
Because you're leaving it up, that makes sense.
What he said. I'll go with what he said.
Yeah.
It sounded more. Sounded like more. I really like the song. I mean, this is the first time I've ever heard it. Saw the video. It is, when you go line by line, it is a fucking tale that, once you know what's going on, you're like, wow, this is a, like, people go through fucking
One
shit.
story explains it to you.
Yeah. Like,
You really start to get
Yeah,
it.
God forbid somebody have an opinion on this song.
When he compares it to OnlyFans, but not
God
in the way you
damn.
expect, not in the way that we.
God forbid a son of a bitch like felt something.
Hey, Tushar, I want to know is
You're sacks of shit. You're just absolute garbage motherfuckers. Like, I'm just trying to have like a fucking like moment. And you're just like, yeah, you mean the lyrics of the fucking song? I'm like, yeah, you mean the reason we do this fucking podcast? Oh, yeah, goddamn. God forbid I sit here and like dissect that shit with my own
Okay,
opinions.
but you spent 8 minutes screaming about how sometimes people that whore and sell drugs don't have a lot of options.
Yeah,
And people need to understand
I was
that.
getting somewhere. And you didn't let me get there, Trey. That's what I'm saying. Like, you just fucking let me get there. You have never once let me get there. Ever once you're like, shut up, Cor. Y'all both you're just like, don't let him get there.
That's
Let
why
him
he has
fuck-
to jack off to his wife.
Don't let him get there.
That's a callback. I hope
Don't
that is
ever-
recorded because if that didn't get picked up, y'all don't know why I said that.
Well, if it doesn't get picked up,
we
then
ain't
this
gotta
podcast
advertise.
don't
That
happen.
was a long time
Tushar,
ago.
I want to know if there's any, positive prostitute stories in your culture.
Indian world.
The Indian one.
Yeah, there's a big one. There's a lady, or I guess a narco lady. She's like she's the king's
Concubine?
concubine, but she turns into something greater.
Yeah.
And it's the
Bunch
same.
of arms.
Yes. WellRED podcast. Join the tour.
We know 3 things about the Indian world, and we know
Good for Joe. Yeah.
Hey, Joe, looks like he let you get there finally. Well, that's it for me, I think. We're going to be in Minneapolis, 25th?
DC after
Saturday.
25th.
Washington, D.C. is coming up. Irvine, California. San
Huntsville,
Jose, California. Huntsville, Alabama. Go to WellREDComedy.com for tickets. I will be, I was in Portland last week. You missed me. Too short? You got anything to plug with that?
All right.
I'm like Fancy's little baby sister. I'm about to start the best. So, yeah, let's get out of here. See y'all. Love you.
Bye.
Bubba Shout the podcast, and that's right. A show about country